Zompoc!
Good morning, Zompoc and dear listeners, and welcome to yet another episode of Britain's #1 post-zombie apocalypse podcast.
Yes, that's right. The #1 podcast in our very specific field.
Yes, we're being super serious today, and we broadcast from the zombie apocalypse every week in an effort to help and document life in zombie Britain. Super seriously.
Yep. If you're new to the podcast, I'm in London and Bex is in Manchester. With the help of a crazy-ass Virgin Media employee called Rob, we managed to keep just enough internet on to continue our broadcast every single week.
Yeah, but if you happen to be a new listener, you should really catch up. This is my actual voice. I don't sound like posh Radio 4 lady. As well as documenting our own lives since the start of the Zompoc some 24-ish weeks ago, we've also had some really bloody brilliant guests from all over the world.
Yeah, we've had some, the very best and worst of humanity have got in touch.
Mainly worse.
Well, we've had the best and the worst. I think it's good to have a good scowl.
One normal.
We've had these guys from all over the world. No one normal. We never get normal people. That doesn't happen. Normal people don't survive. They just die. So anyway, we've had who have we had? We had Bubba. Bubba was good. He was from the US. We haven't heard from him lately, so we're assuming he's dead. He had a rough ride at the beginning. Scarlett, who's in touch all the time, is one of our most avid listeners. I may have accidentally called her a crack whore the other week.
You didn't. Just maybe call her a crack. You did call her a crack whore.
Yeah, I did. And then there was Jo. Jo, who is in... Oh, where's Jo? Basingstoke?
Basingstoke.
And she survives in a pub, so, kudos. Jim, I can't remember who Jim is. Jim. Oh, Zimbabwe. He had his own...
Zimbabwe.
He made his own country called Zimbabwe. Then we had Derek. Derek turned into a zombie thing. A sentient zombie who we don't know what happened to him. And there's been loads and loads of others too. Loads of others.
Yeah, and as well as all the random people that seem to join us on our podcast, we've also been really lucky to have some of the very best zombie fiction authors in the world join us here. They have been telling us their tales of survival and giving us all the lowdown on how to survive, even if some of them are just surviving in Pound World.
Oh yeah. Some of them
or in a bunker.
Or in a bunker.
We're getting some good advice.
I think the Americans are surviving with slightly more style than us Brits. Peter McKiernan, wasn't it? Peter McKiernan, he was surviving.
He's in Pound World eating nuts.
He's in Pound World, which is closely related to Poundland, and the Pound Store, and the 99p store. They're all part of the same.
They're all the same.
If you happen to be listening in the US, it's like a dollar store. It's like a thrift store. That's where he's surviving. And then David
Wellington was in a bunker that he now can't get out of.
Yeah, David Wellington was awesome. He was really well prepared in the US. Great author. It was the Monster Trilogy. Was it the Monster Trilogy that David?
Yeah, the Monster Trilogy.
Yeah, fantastic books. And he actually built a custom-built bunker, and he's living in, but he forgot to put an exit door, so he's stuck.
He's gonna die.
He's gonna die. But he talks to us first. That was cool.
That's alright.
That was cool. This week is I'm getting an email from the apocalypse.
From the actual apocalypse.
Yeah, he's just emailing me and says, "How's it going?" This week is no different.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Sorry about all those zombies and stuff. This week's no different. We're very lucky to have been joined all the way from the United States of America. Please be upstanding for a superstar of zombie fiction.
Your American accent is worse than my posh Radio 4 lady accent. But this week we are very, very, very proud and slightly nervous and pooing our pants a little bit to announce Mr. Marc Tufo will be joining us on this podcast.
The tooth is going to be here! The tooth!
Alright, calm down.
I can't breathe right now!
Relax, deep breaths in and out. Super serious face on again.
Okay, I'm good.
Just be yourself.
Really?
No, try and be a normal person for a change. Interview time, and we're very proud and very honoured to welcome Marc Tufo to Good Morning Zompoc. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hello, Marc. Welcome to our podcast.
Hello, thank you.
So basically just got a couple of questions, very informal, just whatever comes into your head, just answer it that way, because we're not bothered.
That's pretty much how I write, so this shouldn't be too hard.
Shouldn't be too hard. Awesome. So, I mean, if your books are anything to go by, you should be kicking ass in the zombie apocalypse, really. So, how have you been surviving?
Oh, it's my biggest concern that I will get hit with a big giant dose of irony, and I write all these books about survival, and I'll either be patient one or victim one, My hope, not hope, if something were to happen, I plan on hunkering down. I know a lot of people have go bags and stuff, but I live out in the sticks. By the time something gets to me, it'll probably be pretty far in the game, I think.
Yes, you'll be pretty well prepared by the time the news hits you.
Yeah.
What about weapons, supplies, family? Have you got all that with you? What's your weapon of choice? Have you got lots of food? What's going on?
I don't know. I don't even know if I should admit this, but I think a lot of folks think I'm more of a prepper than I am. I do write about it, and it's something I contemplate and I think about, but I'm certainly not one of those folks that has 2 years worth of food and water all ready to go. I do love my firearms, and I do have I have a fair amount of those and ammunition, but I don't know. I don't know if I've got much more than a couple months worth of food, and I wish I had an underground bunker. I don't have one of those. I don't know. I'm a kind of the ilk that I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably a lot more prepared than all of us Brits anyway, because we don't have guns and we live on a tiny little island with limited resources. So we're kind of fucked anyway, to be honest. So.
Yeah, Mark's living off spam, and it's not nutritious.
Spam.
Spam.
Yeah, I mean, I could do some hunting out here and things like that. We got plenty of deer, that's for sure. But
that's it. All we can catch is squirrels.
Rats. Rats.
You can eat them in a pinch.
Yeah. So we'll start talking kind of about your work and about your books and everything. So when you published Indian Hill all those years ago, did you have any clue that you'd go on to have this like kind of cult following of thousands and thousands of loyal fans, and you were going to be so popular?
No. We did try to shop Indian Hill around to traditional publishers, and nothing worked. And so we said, screw it. Let's just we got some stock image, crappy cover, and we threw it up on Amazon, and we just like, it was kind of cool to say, hey, I got a book up there, but I don't know that Indian Hill sold anything those first couple of years at all. I don't know. I know Zombie Fallout was 3 copies in 7 months the first time that came out, but Indian Hill,
wow.
I don't know. It might have been 1 or 2 over 3 years or something, but it was, honest to God, it was really for me that I wrote that book and put it out there, and never really intended to have an audience. It just kind of happened. I really wrote the whole trilogy for stress relief, kind of.
Yeah, like a sort of therapy for yourself, and you just put it out into the world.
Yeah, I had been laid off, so writing was an outlet, instead of just sitting in a corner crying about not having work or money. I just wrote a book and tried to soldier on and keep going.
Yeah, we had, as a guest recently, we had a British author called Luke Duffy, who was he was a paratrooper. And we know that obviously you were in the Marines, and we were asking him, it's sort of like both careers can be pretty stressful, being in the services and being an author. And he said that some of the stress of being in the military helped him deal with the stress of deadlines, etc. But obviously, the actual process of writing and sorting out his thoughts and his feelings and stuff really helped him in the same way that you just said there.
I think the Marine Corps, it does give you coping skills. Certainly a single-minded determinism. I'm going to keep doing this until it's done, kind of thing. And certainly mechanisms to deal with stress. And then I'm not advocating this to anybody that may be listening, especially younger. I had a very colorful youth in terms of I did a lot of illicit things, and
let's talk about those things.
So we have no young listeners.
That has screwed with my short-term memory a bit. So it's really easy to deal with stress when you can't remember why you should be stressed out. So
yeah,
that's another mechanism I use.
That's a fantastic coping mechanism.
I think everybody needs that mechanism in the zombie apocalypse.
I can't remember why I should be stressed out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the other thing we was talking about with Luke Duffy, because obviously the comparisons in the services, we was talking about characters, and he was saying obviously how he meets so many rich characters, and the question that we got asked a lot to ask you was the inspiration for your characters. Did they come from real life, from real people that you've met?
A lot of them are amalgamations, like Trip, because of some of those circles I've traveled in. Trip is definitely he's not any one individual, but he could be any 7 individuals, and different pieces taken from them. Certainly Mrs. Deneau, from a couple of folks that I know. A lot of folks have asked me, is BT based on a real character? And unfortunately, no, because if that was my best friend, I'd go out with him everywhere. I love that guy as much as the other folks,
He's a great character.
Thank you. So... yeah, there's bits and pieces. I have been around a couple times, so I definitely have encountered a lot of folks, and a lot of different characters. And you can't help but be influenced by the people you meet.
Also, if you're struggling to kind of think of a character, suddenly someone will just pop into your head, and you'll be like, well, actually, they're quite a cool person.
Yeah, and then they evolve as you go on too. Mrs. Deneau wasn't even really she was kind of a disposable character, and then you just kind of give her attribute after attribute, and she just kind of evolves as the series goes along.
I'm so glad you kept her, because she's just a bitch, and I love her.
Right. And it's funny, and people are like, you need to kill her, and it's like, no, I don't.
No, do not kill her. She's, so interesting. She's just going to fuck shit up. Yeah,
and she's, I can't say when. I got some tentative word about when Zombie Fallout 10 comes out, but she is back in there, and she's fucking shit up. So
amazing.
Oh, can't tell me stuff like that. I'm gonna be chomping at the bit now until Zombie Fallout 10 comes out. For God's sake.
Oh my gosh, I love your accent. That is great.
It's a mix of Midlands and North, and nobody can ever understand what I'm saying. So
no, I know, I gotcha. It sounds great.
You're the first one, Mark. I have no clue what she's saying most of the time.
He just nods and agrees with me. So the narrator of your books, Sean Burnett, was he a hard choice for the narrator, or did you kind of hear his voice and think, yep, that is the dude?
I would love to tell you that I was knee deep in the process, and we interviewed hundreds of people, and it was a grind until we found that nothing could be further from the
he turned up and you were like, yep.
I'll get there. It's not even that in depth. Tantor Media came to me, and they wanted the audio rights to the first few Zombie Fallout books, and I was like, whatever, man, just take them. I audiobooks, who listens to them? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then they came back after we did all the paperwork. They came back about a month later, and this is in an email. How do you feel about Sean Burnett? I'm like, I don't know who he is. I literally wrote, sounds good to me. I'd never heard him speak. Didn't know what it looked like. Had never seen a picture, and that was my audition process. And who knew that they were gonna? I mean, they struck gold when they nailed him. He is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that our little sort of zombie group were saying to us about Sean, how his voice seems to suit their own inner voice. So as they read it on paper is the same way that he reads it, out loud. Yeah,
and the first time I even heard him, I didn't even listen to any of the first Zombie Fallout, the first 6 he had done. It was when we got Tim done. I don't know if either of you folks is familiar with Tim, but that's
yeah. Read them all.
I listened to that and I was like, holy fuck. I got chills up my spine listening to him do Tim, and it was like, oh my freaking word. So, I mean, I almost feel like he nailed that even better than Talbot, but I love him. I met him a few times. He's a wonderful man. He's hilarious. So, I mean, he's as funny in real life as you would expect Michael Talbot to be, and that is
wow.
No kidding, no lie. It's stuff that flies out of his mouth without any thought. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, Sean, we're in fucking public, man. What are you?
I
sounds like someone I want to meet.
Oh, you do. If you ever get an opportunity to meet Sean Renette, you should.
Which writers inspired you to become? I mean, not just become a writer, but the style of writing that you write. I mean, I know I grew up with writers that inspired me to read, but which ones inspired you to really sit down and write?
And that's another thing. What's going on right now in my life is not a lifelong quest. I was not 7 and somebody asked me, "What do you want to do?" I want to be a writer, Mommy. I mean, even when I wrote my first book in college at 2021, I had no designs on being a writer. So I mean, inspired to write, I don't even know. I mean, I loved Stephen King and Dean Koontz and James Rollins. I mean, I lived at the library as a little kid. We didn't. My family grew up. We certainly weren't poor, but we weren't well. We were your average middle class. So we didn't. Books were a luxury. We just went to the library, and I'd get everything I could there. And so I read voraciously. I guess I don't know. Maybe all of it combined, but I never sat there and read any one person and said, "That's why I want to write." I mean, this writing thing is truly only about 6 years old.
Yeah.
6, 7, yeah. So,
yeah.
Do you feel like sometimes you write just to get those ideas out of your head?
That's the case now. I've found that the more I write, kind of like you open that door, the more ideas that were back in that closet that now you're rummaging through, and now you can see them.
Yep.
Whereas if you kept that door shut, you'd never know they were there. I mean, I was just rattling off a few ideas to my wife just the other day, and she's like, "Holy crap!" But it's like, I don't know when I'm gonna write them. It's weird having deadlines now. I'm not particularly fond of deadlines. Going back to stress.
No, it doesn't sound fun at all, Mark.
No,
I'm so excited for new ideas in your head, though.
and these are books I really want to write, but it's like now I'm contractually obligated to certain books, and on one hand it's great because I can pay my bills. On another hand, it's a business aspect as opposed to the creative aspect.
About the freedom.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm literally, I'm not even messing around. Booked through 2018. So that's kind of friggin' weird, because then a lot of authors will come, "Hey, you want to do this? You want to get involved in this?" And it's like, well, I really can't. So
not until 2018.
Yeah.
Hit me up then.
Yeah, ring me up January 2019. We'll be good.
I mean, it's like you said, it's great from a business perspective. You pay the bills, etc. But like you said, it's kind of deadlines. Forcing yourself to churn out the words is not the creative process that would be ideal, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever want this to be considered in my head not fun or a job. I've had jobs. We've all had jobs. We've been like, "Oh fuck, I got to go in there."
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit down on my computer. And I am having a blast. And having that security is nice too. I certainly can't turn a blind eye to that.
I mean, from a reader's perspective, it's very fulfilling to read a book when you can feel like the writer is having a blast doing it, and you can tell the difference, can't you? I mean, when you read
definitely.
When those one-liners are coming out and those quips, that the guy's sitting there chuckling away as he's writing those down.
Yeah. Sometimes I know that like laughing at your own jokes can be not supposed to happen, but sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like laughing my ass off, and I was like, as long as I don't tell anybody about that, that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. No one listens.
And I've said that before, even with the Zombie Fallout. Folks have asked me like, "How long are you gonna write? Please don't ever stop." I mean, obviously, there's people on the other side like, "Why doesn't that fucker just stop that series?" But I mean, you can't make everybody happy. But I've always told people I'll stop writing when it's not any fun anymore. I after Zombie Fallout 6, I thought I was gonna. I took a whole year off from the series, and then stuff started bubbling up, and it's like, screw it, I got some more stuff, let's play. And then even after I wrote Zombie Fallout 10, it was still like, wow, okay, I'm still having a kick in time, so.
Fantastic. I'm sure everybody will be over the moon to hear all about it.
I hope so.
So I'm going to ask you a question now that you probably get all the bloody time and you're probably sick of it. But there's been a lot of stuff flying around, Zombie Fallout, the TV series, Zombie Fallout, the movie. Is there any truth in that? Is it going to be putting... I know you've been kind of doing filming and things for it, but is it ever going to hit the TV? Is it ever going to hit the screens?
I don't have a definitive answer. I know there's behind the scenes stuff going on, and the executive producer with Brad Thomas. I know he's working on stuff behind and talking to certain folks, and I'm like, I can't tell anybody who he's talking to. Is it good? I don't know. It's in development, which is light years away from in production. And that's the big switch over. Yeah. And so, we are in development. We are not in production, and unfortunately, I don't have a date if it ever will. I mean, do I hope it will? Yeah, I'm thrilled. I would be stoked. I'm certainly not holding my breath, but shit, if it happens, that would be great. It would
be amazing. I mean, do you ever sit there? I don't know if you watch The Walking Dead, but you ever sit there watching The Walking Dead and thinking, this is a bit shit, isn't it, by comparison?
Well, that's I really hope that it's going to be in production, because I'd really like to see what it's like on the screen and how the characters come to life. But a lot of the time, Hollywood and movies and stuff just ruin the books. So I'm in two minds.
Yeah, I actually love The Walking Dead. I to me, the show can do no wrong. I don't really give a shit what they do. It's like, The Walking Dead's on.
Yeah.
More zombies,
yeah. And I know that they were wrestling with how to translate a lot of Michael Talbot's inner thoughts. I don't know. I can't remember. Man, I'm blanking. But the Stephanie Myers, the lady that did Twilight.
Sure.
She had another book out, an alien invasion book. I cannot remember the name of it, but they. I actually liked the book; it was very good. But they turned that book into a movie, thinking, "Oh my God, they struck gold at Twilight. Let's try this one." But the girl, the lead in that movie had a lot of internal dialogue, and they tackled it so bad. It was one of the worst things. She would literally turn away from the character she was talking to and have the inner dialogue with herself, and then turn back to interact with the character she was talking with, and it was like, oh, this is brutal. This is fucking brutal. And I mean, if they did something like that with Mike Talbot, I was like, I'd take my name off the fucking thing, please.
It's not based on my book.
No, I don't know who the fuck that
is. Yeah, I mean that all makes perfect sense. So, do you know? I mean, you've told us a lot about where you're going with Zombie Fallout and what the future is. Do you have any sort of grand plan? Is there a master plan, in Marc's head that he's working towards with Zombie Fallout?
That's hilarious. Like I've got this planned out. You mean? Like I got a big whiteboard with how they all interact. That's fucking great.
I'd love that. Yeah.
We can only dream.
With the series, there is a lot of collusion, and there is a lot of points in time where the stories do intersect. And it is my hope at one time to bring all of that to a head and bring it all together. And I guess I can put this out there. And the character that is the character that's going to do that is Trip.
Really?
So,
oh,
wow.
Yeah, he's a dark horse. You think he's a bit unable to do anything, but I reckon he's
he's
a
more
key character.
He's more than he appears.
Oh wow!
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we've got a scoop on our podcast. That makes a change. Incredible, amazing.
That would be a scoop.
That is definitely. I'm excited. So one more question before we finish the interview part of the interview. We obviously, Bex and I are part of your fan group on Facebook. And in looking up a bit of research for you before this podcast, we saw that your Facebook group has got over 3,000 members, which and you participate in that group, virtually daily, but at least a couple of times a week. Does it feel strange to have a fan group named after you with such a large... I mean, it must be a strange feeling.
The entire thing is strange. That, Joe Smith from Idaho writes to me and tells me he loves the books is just bizarre.
Yeah.
And then to have... I mean, that that fan club, with 3,000 folks, they are wonderful people, and the admins that just work their ass off. And I'm kind of like blown away that they take time out of their lives to keep that cohesive, because I honestly have very little to do with it. I mean, until recently, I had to like wait for my posts to post just like everybody else.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of hilarious. It's like, I wonder if my post is going to get approved.
I'm pretty sure if it's got your name on it, it gets approved. That way.
So, it's surreal. Everything about this is surreal. I mean, this is not something I've worked toward my entire life, and I've been expecting this, and I'm thankful for it, and that they do that, I'm thankful for. And I do try to get on there and interact a little bit, but it's social media is its own whole entity, and that is a big part of my I guess career. And I do have the Zombie Fallout page that I really try to stay up on top of and interact, and so it's just a balancing act of getting in and doing as much as I can. I
imagine it's very difficult because you have to write. I mean, that's your job. But social media is like the biggest distraction in the world ever. I mean, you write something, someone writes back, and then someone else writes back. I imagine with 3,000 members in your group and other pages you've got, it must be a constant distraction the whole time. I don't know if distraction's the right word in terms of me, because if not for social media, I don't think Zombie Fallout exists. Or if it does, it was one book that's long lost on Amazon, to be honest with you. So, I think if you're sincere, which I hope I come across as on social media when I answer these folks, and because it's how I feel, I think people really relate to that. And then a lot of folks are like, he wrote me back, and it's like, and then I'm sitting here going, why the fuck wouldn't I? You took the time to write. Why wouldn't I write you back? While I'm sitting there either drinking a beer or water or coffee, I just, I put my pants on like everybody else. Well, actually, shorts. I mostly wear shorts because I don't have to commute to work. So, but I'm no different than anybody else. Yeah, it's amazing. That's amazing. I mean,
good attitude to have.
Yeah, I mean, we know you're no different to anybody else. However, we see your name. Your name's on the book that we read. We love the book, and we can't help but get the two muddled up in our brains, if that makes sense. The sort of idolising the writer and talking to the person. They do get a bit confusing. That's the end of the interview part of the interview. But before we end the interview, Bex likes to have a little quiz, don't you, Bex?
King of Zombie Fiction.
So it's called the King of Zombie Fiction. You're officially the King of Zombie Fiction anyway, but you have to do the quiz because that's part of the rules.
What if I don't? What if I fail, man? That's gonna look bad.
No,
you're not going to be the King of Zombie Fiction anymore. You need to step up.
That's a lot of freaking pressure, man.
It's King of Zombie Fiction. And Bex, have you got questions?
I have got my quick-fire questions ready. Have you got your klaxon ready?
No.
Have you got your stopwatch ready?
No, I've never got anything ready, ever. It never happens.
Are these multiple choice?
No. So basically, you have to answer the questions as quickly as possible, whatever answer you want. You get bonus points if the answers are funny, but if they're not, you just have to answer. So it's as many questions as you can get through in 60 seconds.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
Literally, the first thing that comes to your head, it can be like
a
answer pineapple to all of them.
This should be awesome.
Right. Okay. Right. You both ready?
Yep.
On your marks. Get set. Go.
Do you think zombies would enjoy a leisurely stroll in the park?
No. Oh, see, that's horrible. That's not even funny, man. But,
how many zombies does it take to change a light bulb?
Really? One, because they eat brains.
Why did the zombie cross the road?
Oh my gosh, because there was a chicken brain on the other side.
If a zombie was to go back to college, what would it study?
Psychology.
What would a zombie most likely to buy in Black Friday sales?
Oh shit. What is a Segway?
Do zombies ever have a crisis? Do zombies ever have a crisis of conscience?
No, man. Haven't you read Tim?
What's a zombie's favourite colour?
Grey.
Where would a zombie go on holiday?
Oh, shit. Damn it, I was trying to think of some place that didn't have... it wouldn't go to Washington.
That's it. Time's up.
God, it's tough to be witty on a fucking cue, man. I get like months to write a book, right?
It's all right, Mark. I can edit. I'll just cut out all the only leaving the funny ones as well.
Yeah, leave the funny ones.
That dude's hilarious.
I like funny. Oh shit.
No, man, we did that for like 4 hours. That was the only we could come up with.
That was fantastic, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to know what score you got, you are in fact the king of zombie fiction because you got 13. So you're now officially the king of zombie fiction. Who's the king of zombie fiction?
Nice. Yay. What did Jamie get? Jamie get like 27?
Yeah, she got like 1,000 or something like that. We gave her extra points because she was a girl.
She's quick, man.
Yeah, she was quick and she was funny.
She was quick. She had some funny answers.
She was very, very funny. She was exceptionally funny. Who else was really funny? Peter McKenna was really funny as well, wasn't he? He was a funny guy.
Yeah, he was a funny guy.
You liked him because you had the same accent. I had no idea what was going on.
No, you didn't. You had no clue what we were saying.
You just laughed when they laughed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That is literally my job. I do this every week. I just laugh when other people laugh. Mark, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I hope I did your show some good.
Oh,
you really did. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mark. Bye-bye.
You know what? This has literally been my favourite week in the zombie apocalypse since the fucking thing started.
Yeah, it's not all bad, is it? Hey?
Nope.
The zombies are doing their thing, we're doing our thing. It's all good in the hood.
Just don't say that again, ever.
What? Good in the hood? I'm like down with the Americans and that, bro.
Just stop right now. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying, these guys in America, they're so freaking cool, and it's like me and stuff, I'm just trying to learn. That's all.
Just stop being a dick.
Fair enough.
So, didn't you have something to say to our listeners today? I mean, I know in all the excitement we may have forgotten, but I know you said you had some kind of big announcement.
Yes, I do. I don't know why I said it like that. Yes, I do.
Well, what is it?
Oh, right. So, we would like to thank all of our listeners from all over the world for listening to our podcast. We've been really, really lucky to have such incredible support from all over the apocalypse. We want to say a little thank you. Over the last few weeks, we've been stockpiling and accumulating some of the very best zombie fiction books. Actually signed, with little messages by the incredible authors themselves. So we've been creating a giant Christmas hamper of signed zombie fiction.
Yep, so what we're going to do is we're going to be giving away the whole hamper, a giant motherfucking Christmas hamper full of signed zombie books, each with a little message. This is, to be honest, it's every zombie reader's dream. Yep. It's a wet dream. It is zombie reader's wet dream of a Christmas present, and you can win it.
Yeah, to win it, what you need to do is go to our Facebook page, the official Facebook page of Good Morning Zompoc, not the group, the official Facebook page.
We have a group, we have a page.
So you go to the official page and you like that page, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a post and we're going to ask a question and you need to answer the question. You'll also have to share the post, that sort of thing. It's like a like, comment, share trilogy, the holy trilogy of trying to win the fucking hamper thing.
Yeah, we're going to be those wankers, aren't we?
We are.
Like, comment and share.
Like, comment and share, please.
We are those wankers. And you know what? We don't care because it's a little thank you for you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a great hamper. It's got books in there by Luke Duffy. Do you know how many Luke Duffy books there are? There are 7 Luke Duffy books. All of them signed with a little message from Luke Duffy himself. That in itself is worth a bloody fortune. Then you've got Ricky Fleet, Smelly Feet, yay! You've got his trilogy of books in there, all of them signed, all in a hamper, and we can send them all to you. Also, Luke Duffy gave us some audiobook codes, so we're going to put the audiobook codes in there as well. So you get 7 books, 2 audiobooks, and a trilogy from Ricky Fleet as well, all in one big hamper.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Awesome.
So it's been a great podcast this week. Obviously, it's been probably the biggest and most eventful podcast in GMZ history.
Need some deodorant.
Why do you need? You're sweating. I get it.
I'm sweating.
Right. I thought you.
I was nervous.
Yeah. Have you got deodorant there? Because I don't have any here. So.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I pick up when I go on my supply runs.
Oh.
Man. Can't be smelling a BO in the zombie apocalypse. The fuckers will smell you.
Very true. I'd like to thank Mr. Mark Tufo for being an epic guest. And when I say epic, I mean epic. Epic in his stature, but also epic in his eloquence. Am I blowing smoke up his arse again?
Like, so much.
So
He's
much?
going to have so much smoke up his arse. He's going to be able to rocket to the moon.
I'd like to thank Mark for being our guest. It means a lot to us. Thank you to Ubex for being a host, an incredible host. And I'd like to thank myself for styling out the American talk, the American slang. I think I'm getting down with it, bro.
He's just a knobhead. But, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Marc
Stay safe, everybody.
And kick ass.
Bye-bye.
Bye.